Hi you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new or returning, hi guys, welcome in. My name is Jaliyah.Kreationz. I'm a budget coach that makes budgeting easy and simple for you. Hi guys, oh my goodness, before we start this video, you guys, I am so freaking excited. In today's video, I got a comment on my TikTok that was like, what if I'm paid bi-weekly and then my schedule gets changed to a weekly budget? So we're going to be discussing how to do that with a bi-weekly budget that I have created. Guys, don't panic. Have you ever been at a job and then they change the pay schedule and you're like, I'm paid bi-weekly. I'm just used to being paid bi-weekly. Or vice versa. You've been paid weekly and then you switch to bi-weekly. So we're going to talk about how to reverse your budget or switch your budget if you've already set up a budget. That way you're not overwhelmed. We're going to talk about the steps you can take for a bi-weekly to a weekly budget. And then if you guys want me to do a weekly to a bi-weekly budget, make sure you guys let me know in the comment section. Of course, if you're new to my YouTube, you guys, I make all my budget products to help you get started with your finances. We have physical planners, we have budget bundles, all of that good stuff. Before we start this video, I do want to put a little surprise in here, you guys. We have officially gotten our budget stickers. So if you guys don't know, for the longest we wanted stickers and tabs to go with the budget planners, and we finally have finalized them, and I'm so excited. They do drop this Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time, so make sure you guys set your timer on Jaliyah.Kreationz.com. You are going to love the stickers, you guys. I'm going to be using the stickers for this video. Literally, I hand drew all these pigs myself, so I'm so glad for you guys to get your hands on them. We have a no spin pig, bill due pig, vacation pig, subscription pig, impulsive alert pig, credit card pig, all this cute stuff. You guys inspired this so much, so thank you guys for all your support with that. And then we also do have tabs coming out as well. So if you want some cute planner tabs, we have a whole bunch of different colors that are going to be available on the website, which is going to be October 10th at 11 a.m. Central Time, you guys. So on the East Coast, that's 12 p.m. On the West Coast, that is about 9 a.m. So make sure you guys have your timers set up. Let me try to focus my camera. I don't know why my camera didn't want to focus, you guys, but make sure you have your timers set up and grab these while we have them available. They are the best. You're going to love them. I have just literally gotten them today to use them, and I have loved them so much. So I'm so excited to get these in you guys' hands. But with further note, let's go ahead and do our breakdown. Alright, you guys, so in this budget we are paid $17.50 bi-weekly. So this was our income that we're usually bringing in. For October, you guys, you're not paid 3 times. If you didn't watch my video, I talked about that. You're only paid 2 times in October. If you're paid bi-weekly, the paycheck falls on the 3rd and it also falls on the 17th. So make sure you guys watch that video because I talk about that so you're not behind on there. So let's go ahead and look at the budget. So whether we're paid bi-weekly, whether we're paid weekly, whether we're paid monthly, we are bringing in $3,500. Now it's about how we space out that $3,500. So let's go ahead and set up another calendar. So let's say you already set up your budget for bi-weekly, and then your job says, hey, we're switching to this type of income. So let's go ahead and set up an October calendar. We're going to go ahead and set up another October calendar. We're going to set this up really quickly. Alright, you guys, so before we were paid bi-weekly $17.50 every 2 weeks. So if we're paid $3,500 a month, we're going to go ahead and take $3,500 and divide it by 4. So now we're going to put that we're paid $875 weekly. So in our little payday section here, I did make some payday stickers. We're going to go ahead and put this here, payday. We're going to go ahead and put $875, and then we're going to put $875 again, $875 again, and $875 again. And then my people that are paid weekly for this month of October, you guys actually do get an extra week. It's my bi-weekly people that their paycheck on the 31st is a early paycheck for next month. So if you're paid weekly, you should get another check for next month. Just make sure you look at your November calendar. So I'm just going ahead and putting my payday stickers on here really quickly so you can write down our paydays. And I like to just put the amount on the calendar as well so you're aware of it. So we're going to put our payday in here, weekly. All right, and then on our monthly section over here for October, because we're still going to do a monthly budget so we can still see an overview of our expenses, we're going to write this down that it's a weekly budget. And then you're going to go ahead and put 875 times 4, which is going to be 3,500. And even with that extra week, we're still just going to focus on the 4-week cycle. There is a weekly template, so we're going to break this down in more detail. But we're going to make sure we focus on this 4-week cycle because this is going to be a repeat every single week for you. Or every single month for you. Especially those months where you don't have that extra week. So let's go ahead and put that in here. Alright you guys, so now we're going to fill in the rest of our calendar. So let's go ahead and put these bills and expenses that we have on here. So we're just going to go ahead and fill these in, and I am going to speed this process up, you guys. So I'm going to just fill this in and then we'll be right back. Alright, so you guys know I had to be extra, incorporate those stickers in there. Super fun, super cute. Now let's go ahead and get back into the fun stuff with the budget. So now that we have everything listed in here, we're going to go ahead and write down our fixed bills the same way we did for the bi-weekly budget. We just want to add it up for the month. So we're going to go ahead and literally just set up our monthly budget, because whether we're doing a weekly, bi-weekly, whatever type of budget schedule we're doing, we still want to make sure we do a monthly budget. This lets us see an overview of all of our bills and expenses, the dates they come out. It just shows us an estimate. When I do customized budget plans, we always do a monthly budget. It doesn't matter. We do the full breakdown. So we're going to keep that same thing going in this budget as well. I just recommend it because each month you could have something that changes, right? So you could have one month where, you know, different things happen. So we just want to make sure that we're incorporating that in our budget. So we got gym, which is 25. And we're just going through and we're writing down all our fixed bills. So these are our bills that are usually the same every single month. Gym membership, I usually separate the subscriptions, but gym I put on the fixed side for myself personally. But you can change the gym as you want. You can put it with your subscriptions. I put subscriptions on the variable side, but I just use the gym as like a bill for me. So whatever way you want to categorize it. So we're writing down our phone bill. We're writing down all these expenses, $86, and then $10.24. Car insurance for $130. Okay, and it should still match the one we had on the bi-weekly. So if you already filled out your budget planner and your stuff is similar or the same, you should still have those same expenses on here. So for bills, we're still gonna spend $22.86. So $22.86 still falls in this category. And then we're gonna go ahead and do our variables. This is going to be our credit card, our subscriptions, all the stuff that we have on our variables side. We're going to repeat that again unless you're changing something for the month. This was for October, so we're still doing an October budget. We're just breaking it down to a weekly. And then also our goal is to save our emergency fund. So whether you're paid weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, that thing is still the same. So we're going to set up our goal. Save for emergency fund. Okay, so for our variables, we have credit cards. Credit cards fall on the variable side because these can be paid off, used again, vice versa. Do credit cards for 100, and I'm just gonna change this because I always, when I have it like that, I mess up, so I don't want to do that. And then subs, we have subs, which are $30 for the month. Was it 30 or 35? No, $30. Okay, subs, $30. Then we have groceries, $160. So we're taking everything that we used to have from that bi-weekly budget for our monthly numbers, unless something would have changed. We'll put it on there too. Then self-care, 100. Now if you do have an income change, you'll go ahead and change your income too, you guys. Let's say you took a pay raise or you took a pay cut when this changed, you just make sure you update that with your numbers. Okay, perfect. All right, so here's our variables. Let's go ahead and total up our variables for the month. Wait, we don't have to total it up, but we'll just do it anyway. I was like, I could just pull it from that budget, but you know what? We like doing math. This is a math budget. This is a budget channel, so we can do some math. So just make sure that matches here, which is $740 for our variables. $740 plus $22.86. Our expenses for the month total to $30.26. So if we take $3,500 and we minus this from $30.26, $3,500 minus $30.26, we have $475 left over, or $474 in our savings. All right, you guys, so this is where it gets interesting and this is where it gets fun. So remember, we did a bi-weekly budget. We have the paycheck number 1 and the paycheck number 2 method. When you are paid weekly, we have the paycheck number 1 through 4 method. So this is going to be paycheck number 1, this is going to be paycheck number 2, this is going to be paycheck number 3, and then this is going to be paycheck number 4. Okay, so that is our paycheck method that we do. So remember, we had 2 paychecks. This is the week we get paid, this is the week we don't get paid, this is the week when we do get paid, this is the week we don't get paid, then this is the week we do get paid, which falls to be our first paycheck for the next month, right? So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go fill in our dates, and then we're going to go ahead and fill in each week. Okay, so now that we are paid weekly instead of bi-weekly, you guys, we have to maneuver between 4 paychecks. So We have a rule when we are paid weekly instead of bi-weekly is we want to make sure that we have a 4-way split between each bills. Okay, so when we're setting up our weekly budget, we have 4 different paychecks now. So we have the payday of, we're going to go ahead and write down the payday of 10/3. This is our first paycheck of the month. Our next payday is of 10/10. Our next paycheck is going to be the payday of 10/17. And then our next paycheck is going to be the payday of 10/24. So payday of 10/24. Okay. So those are all of our paydays. The 31st payday, we're not going to include this right now. We're just going to do the 4 weeks. So what we're going to go ahead and do is divide our bills into 4, but we're going to break them down by each week. So instead of having $17.50 every 2 weeks, we have $8.75 every week. So our income for this week is going to be $8.75. So remember, in our bi-weekly budget, we had to cover ourselves for the span of 2 weeks. We're going to divide this, okay? So we were spending $80 on groceries every 2 weeks, so it's going to be $40 each week. Same thing with gas, $50 every 2 weeks, but we're going to do $25 per week. But before we get there, let's focus on our bills, because bills are the tricky part for the weekly budgets. Alright, you guys, so for example, we're going to go ahead and set up our first payday. So we still want to have a nice bill split. So our first payday is going to fall on the 3rd of October. We'll bring in $8.75, and this has to cover us until the 10th of October. So we're going to go ahead and just highlight this. I like to use different colors and section this off. Okay, perfect. So now our rule when we are setting up a paycheck breakdown for a weekly budget, we never want to have more bills than we have expenses, right? We want to have an even split between bills, an even split between variables. At the end of the month, we're supposed to have $474 left over. So that's roughly about almost $100 left over per paycheck. So what bills do we have to cover? If we have rent of $1,560, we would go ahead and divide our rent into 4 payments, you guys. So $1,560 divided by 4 is going to be $390. So each paycheck, we're automatically going to put $390 up for rent. This way, every single check, we just have a portion, and it will always total out to our total. So if you guys remember the bi-weekly budget, we did the $1,560 and we divided it by 2, but instead we're going to put money up for each paycheck so we can always have an even bill split. Okay, so for rent, we're going to have $390 each week. Okay, and that is the 4 weeks for the month. So every single time we get paid, we're going to put up $390 to cover our rent for the whole entire month. Okay, now let's look at our other bills that we have that falls through for our first paycheck. So for the first paycheck, we have the electric bill that's going to come out. Rent, we already just basically say we put all that money together. If we did get paid, if you're starting, let's say you were starting this month, your previous bi-weekly, your last bi-weekly check should have covered this month's rent. So that last check of September would have covered the rest of this rent. So for our upcoming check, now we'll have a clean slate, and we'll start with breaking that down for the span of 4 weeks. Okay, so now we have our electric bill due on the 4th. So we're going to go ahead and highlight that. We have electric bill for $165, and then we have our credit card minimum number 1 for $40. So let's go ahead in our section here. We're going to do electric $165. And then we have our credit card number 1. Just $40. All right. And then let's go ahead and see what we'll have for the next week. Or see what else we need to put in here for our variables. So let's go back to that bi-weekly budget. So every 2 weeks we were spending $80 on groceries. So that means groceries will be $40 weekly. So we're gonna go ahead and do groceries, and we're gonna pull our variables, you guys. So here is our variables. These are our variable expenses. 160 divided by 4. We'll be spending $40 weekly on groceries. All right. Now for gas, we spend $100 a month. That's going to be $50 every paycheck. Okay. I think the previous, I'm sorry, $25 every paycheck. $25 every paycheck for gas. And then self-care, I think we were doing that bi-weekly too. Self-care was $50 bi-weekly. So we would do self-care as, we're still going to do self-care bi-weekly. So we're going to do a bi-weekly budget for that, and I'll show you guys how we're going to incorporate that. But spending, we do $150 a month. $150 divided by 2. For spending, we do about $75. Oopsie, I'm sorry. Spending, we do, see, I'm thinking bi-weekly. $150 divided by 4, we do about $37 a week for spending. Okay, and then eating out, we're going to do $25 a week for eating out. Okay, now let's do a check-in. Let's see where we're at with our expenses. Okay. All right, you guys, so let's go ahead and do a progress check-in and just see where we're at and if we need to add anything else to this budget. So when we add up where we're at, we brought in $875. We already spent $390 of this on rent, $165 on electric, and then we spent $40 on credit card, number 1, $40 on groceries, gas for $25, spending for $37, and then eating out for $25. So out of this $875, we're at about $722. So let's keep in mind we have a really big expense coming up, you guys. The car payment, which is $320. So $320 divided by 2 is about $160. So with that set, $160 plus that $722, could we cover half of the car note for this week? We'll make the car note always fall on this week, and then possibly we'll have to cut something else out for the second or move something down. Or we can always move the car note to the second week so we can have an even spread. We can do that too. But let's see. Or we can move eating out down as well. We can adjust the eating out budget a little bit for that week. So let's do that, 882, and then we'll do minus 25, puts us at 857. So we're going to go ahead and split that car note just so we don't get behind or have to move the date. But if you want to move the date, guys, you can do that as well. So the car note, half of the car note, 320 divided by 2 is going to be 160. Okay, so 390 plus 165 plus 160. Our fixed bills for this paycheck will total to 715. Okay, and then we're gonna cut eating out down too. So we have 715 plus 40 plus 40 plus 25 plus 37. We're at 857. So we technically could do eating out here. 857 minus we could probably do, we'll do maybe $10 for, we do $15. Yeah, we'll do $15 for eating out. Okay, and we could have adjusted that spending budget too, you guys, but we'll just cut the eating out down. So 40 plus 40 plus 25 plus 37 plus 15, 157. 157 plus 715. Our expenses for this paycheck total to 872. Okay, so we only have $3 left over after this check. So it was a little tighter one. But we have a plan for everything, and everything has a purpose. So now let's go to the next week, the next paycheck, which is the paycheck of the 10th. And let's go ahead and use a different color. We're going to use this green one. It's one of my favorites on this pink planner is one of my favorites to use. So we're gonna go ahead and section this one off. It looks so nice and organized. So we only saved $3 that paycheck, but we made it through. So now we're gonna go to the next week and it won't be as heavy. So for this week, the next payday falls on the 10th. We're gonna go ahead and section this off. I just love to color coordinate it. If you're paid weekly, do your paychecks in 4 colors so you can see which check each week will cover. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and write $875 right here because that is the income that we're bringing in. So $875, and this is paycheck number 2. Automatically, we put $390 of that towards rent, and then our car note, we have to finish this off this week too. So we're going to put the car note for $160. Okay, so that would complete the car payment. Okay, and then we have our gym membership for $25 this week. So I'm going to do gym 25, and then we have Apple Music, which totals to $10. All right. And then this week we're going to go ahead and add up the extra stuff that we have too for this budget as well, you guys. So we're going to go ahead and plan our variables. So this was the paycheck of the 10th. We brought in $875. We covered the gym membership. We covered the Apple Music. We covered the rest of the car payment. So there's that. So we can do a progress check. Where are we at with expenses so far? $390 plus $160 plus $25 plus $10. We're at about $585. So let's go ahead and do our groceries. We're going to go ahead and write our groceries in, which is supposed to be $40 weekly. So we'll go ahead and add 40 to that. And then we have gas, which is $25 weekly. I'm going to add that in. And then we have our spending, which is going to be $37. Go ahead and add that in there. Okay. And then we have our eating out, which is usually $25. So we're going to go ahead and add our eating out in there. And we technically could add the extra $10 to that eating out. So let's go ahead and do it since we had to cut it for the previous week. So we're going to add additional $10, which is going to be $35 this week. Okay. And then remember how I said we're going to do that self-care bi-weekly? Well, here's our second week of the month. We're not going to do self-care every week, but we'll do self-care every 2 weeks. So we're going to add that $50 there. So now let's see what we total to. $390 plus $160 plus $25 is $575. All right. Then 10 plus 40 plus 25 plus 37 plus 35 plus 50 is $197 for our variables. $197 plus $575. For this week, we only spent a total of $772. So that means if we take $875 and we minus it from $772, we get to put $103 in our savings this paycheck. So a little bit more. We got a little bit more wiggle room. Okay. Perfect. And that is our second paycheck of the month. Now let's go to our third paycheck. All right, you guys. So now we're on our second to last paycheck, you guys. So we're on paycheck number 3, which is the payday of the 17th. So we're just going to go ahead and do another highlighter. We are almost done, you guys. So the 17th. And then we're going to go ahead and section this off. And we're going to see what bills we have due this week and what our variables are going to be for this week. Let's go ahead and section this off with our little markers. Perfect. All right, so for this paycheck, once again, we're going to be bringing in $875 this paycheck. And this is paycheck number 3. We've already completed paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2. Now we're on paycheck number 3 for the month. Automatically, we put $3.90 of that towards rent. And then we have our phone bill, which is going to be $86. So the phone bill falls this week for $86. And then we're going to go ahead and put credit card number 2 will be coming out, which is going to be $60 minimum. Okay. And then we don't really have much of anything else coming out for this week for our fix or like our dated bills or dated expenses. So what else we have here is our stuff that repeats again. So once again, we spend groceries every week for $40. Gas, $25. Spending, which is going to be $37. Eating out, $35. And then self-care, we usually do that second week. Since we did it this week, we won't do it this week. We'll do it on paycheck number 4. So boom, that's everything we have for that week. So as you can see, the differences when we did that bi-weekly budget, we fitted basically everything into one paycheck. Now this is the span of 2 weeks. So that $17.50, this is our $17.50, but broken down each week. So as you can see, same concept. You can basically turn a bi-weekly budget to a weekly budget. You could literally just list this stuff each week if you want to. So it's the same concept, you guys. Literally, the bi-weekly template versus the weekly template. You still brought in $17.50 in the span of 2 weeks. So that same thing. And then your expenses that went out is basically similar to the same expenses we had up here. So it probably totals to about $14.85 in the span of 2 weeks. So very similar templates. I promise you, so easy to follow. So now let's go ahead and finish off paycheck. Alright, you guys, so let's go ahead and total up that last week here. The last week I had to fix this to $25, you guys. I forgot that this week we added an extra $10 because we had to do eating out shorter on 1 week. So I just adjusted that really quickly. $3.90 plus 86 is going to be $4.76 for our fixed bills. And then our variables, 60 plus 40 plus 25 plus 37 plus 25 is going to be 187. 187 plus 476. Our expenses for this week total to $663. Okay, 875 minus 663. We have about $212 left over this week in our savings. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do the math again. $3 plus 103 plus 212. We already saved $318 for the month. Our goal is to save $474. So in our last paycheck, we should see that $474. So now let's go ahead and plan our last paycheck. And I low-key want to do a different color marker. Let's add maybe some purple to the mix or like a lighter pink. Let's see, I'm thinking purple. I like to make the planner super colorful, you guys. Let's add a purple tint in here. And this is going to be the payday of the 24th. So we're going to go ahead and section this off. Wait, was this purple going to be purple or is it going to be more on the blue side? It's a nice little purple. It's not too bad. So I want to make sure the color didn't get lost in the sauce. Okay. Do purple for our last week, and this covers us into the 31st. And I'm also going to teach you guys a trick for if you're paid weekly to know if you have an extra paycheck, and we're going to check on that on a second. So $875, and then we have our car insurance and our Netflix. The car insurance is $130. Sorry guys, I put my sticker right above it. So this is paycheck number 4, and we're going to be bringing in that same amount of income for paycheck number 4. So we're going to put $875. And if your income does change, if you miss work or whatever the case is, you'll just adjust it. So $875 is our income for this week. And the bills we have is car insurance for $130. Okay. Then we have Netflix for $20. And now let's think about our variables that repeats again. So we have groceries for $40. All right, we have gas for $25. Spending is $37 weekly, but I'm gonna do $39 this week so we can even out, you guys, just to get that full $150 for our spending budget. It's $37 weekly, but it's an odd number, so it's like 37.5, and I like to round up, so that's why we're gonna put 39 instead of the other one. Then we're gonna do eating out. It's $25 weekly. And then we also have that self-care again because it's every 2 weeks. $50. So we do that every paycheck number 2, and we do that every paycheck number 4. You can still incorporate bi-weekly things into your weekly budget, okay? So there's no rules against adding bi-weekly things into your weekly budget at all. I incorporate that. If you don't want to do something every week, you can do it every 2 weeks. Just make sure you're writing it down in your budget. It's planned for, and then it's good to go. You have a plan for it. So now let's go ahead and add this week up. $390 plus $130. This is going to be $520. Okay, and then we have Netflix for $20, groceries for $40. Gas for $25, spending for $39, eating out for $25, and then self-care for $50. This brings our variables to $199. $199 plus $520. Our expenses this week total to $719. $875 minus $719. $875 minus $719. We have $156 left over to go in our savings. Now let's go ahead and do the math, and let's check if our savings is correct for the month. All right, so for our savings for the first paycheck, we saved $3. The second paycheck, we saved $103. The third paycheck, we saved $212. And then the last paycheck, we saved $156. Our goal was to save $474. That is $474 between 4 weeks. So that is literally how you would change a bi-weekly budget to a weekly budget. Now let's see if we have another paycheck for, let's see if this last paycheck on the 31st is an extra paycheck or is it an early paycheck for the next month. Let's figure it out. All right, so let's determine if we are paid extra for the month of October, you guys. So remember that paycheck method I taught you: paycheck number 1, paycheck number 2, paycheck number 3, and paycheck number 4. Is the 31st an extra paycheck for my weekly budget, babes? Let's go ahead and set up your November calendar, and this is how you're going to know if that is an extra paycheck for you. I already confirmed for my bi-weekly people that's not an extra paycheck, but my weekly people, let's go ahead and find out for you guys. So for our calendar, we would start for the month of November, and we're going to go ahead and plan out November really quickly. So I'm going to put a little sneaky thing in here. So for November, our November 1st falls on a Saturday. Okay, so November 1st falls on the Saturday, and we have 30 days in November. We don't have a 31st. We have 30 days in November. Go ahead and fill in our calendar really quickly. Okay, you guys, so we filled in our calendar for November. So this is how you would know if this is an extra paycheck. So from October 31st to November 7th will be the next payday. So if we get paid this day, we get paid this day, and we're also paid this day. What expenses would this paycheck have to cover until we're paid again? So we have to keep that in mind. What expenses will this paycheck have to cover until we're paid again? Each week we put up a portion of money towards rent, right? So this on the third paycheck, this starts our rent for November. So this is rent for November. This is rent for November. This is rent for November. This is the last paycheck for November. So with this paycheck on the 31st, I would still portion out some money for rent, and then everything else I would save, because this is going to be your first paycheck of November. This is paycheck number 1. This is paycheck number 2. This is paycheck number 3. And this is paycheck number 4. And how we know that these are these paychecks is because based on the way her bills fall. The only thing that we would have due on the 31st, we can still cover December's rent with this paycheck, this paycheck, this paycheck, and this paycheck will cover December's rent. We're not depending on the 31st paycheck to cover any rent for November. That's already covered with these 4 weeks. Unless you had to finish September's rent with this paycheck, then you don't have an extra paycheck, because you would have to rely on this check to cover your rent. So it's based on how you plan out your month, you guys. That's very intentional. So the only thing we would cover with this 31st paycheck, according to her bills, will be the electric bill, and the credit card will fall on our paycheck number 1, which also is paycheck number 1 right here. You see what I'm saying? So it will still fall on our bills that repeat again. So technically the 31st is a extra paycheck, because when you get into November, your November 1st paycheck won't start until the 2nd week of the month. So back to this paycheck breakdown, where we have our paychecks numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where you have that extra paycheck. So this will be the extra paycheck, and this will be your first paycheck of November. Hopefully that makes sense. So if you're paid weekly, you guys, you do have an extra check, but make sure your bills are aligned for that extra check to make sense. All the things repeat again. So everything we spent for paycheck number 1 on this paycheck is going to repeat for this week. It's all about the date that your bills fall on, because depending on what the date is, that's what you're going to cover. And that's why we do the Mondays to Sundays. Okay. Boom. So yes, in October, you may have an extra paycheck. Do your November budget just to make sure and align your paycheck breakdown together. Alright, you guys, we are officially done with how to change a bi-weekly budget to a weekly budget. That's literally all you do. Instead of doing the every 2 weeks, you break it down to every week. So that is how you do that process. Very easy, very simple. And these templates, I'm telling you, they're so diversifiable. You're able to do every financial situation on here. So I hope this video was helpful. At the end of this budget, we are able to save $474, so we can focus on building that emergency fund. If we started this budget in October, at the end of the year, $474 times 3, we'll have about $1,000 in our savings. So yes, that is possible to save that amount of money before the end of the new year, going into January, to have $1,000 in our emergency fund. So if you guys are keeping up with that budget on how to save $1,000, you can still incorporate that before the end of the year. You don't need 10 months to do that. So make sure you guys are accounting for that. And also, when you are setting up your budget, guys, think about your holiday spending. Make sure you're budgeting that. And I will see you guys on my next video. If you guys have any questions, or you would like to get a customized budget plan, make sure you guys book all your budget needs at Jaliyah.Kreationz.com. And don't forget, stickers and tabs drop in the next few days, guys, on Friday. So I'm hoping you're getting these to go with your planner. We have different colors, and I'm so excited for you guys to experience those. I will see you guys on my next video. I post a video every Wednesday, but I do have a huge announcement for you guys on Friday, so be on the lookout for that video. Bye, my loves.